This game right here, totally amazing game. It was played by the legendary, the infamous, one of the best players in the world of all time ever, Gary Kasparov. Can you guys confirm you can see this window here? I'm showing you. It should read Gary Kasparov, Ulf Anderson. Can see. Yes, terrific. Awesome. All right, so super excited to show you guys this one. If you haven't been here before, I've been teaching chess for 10 years, so I definitely have a good taste for what games are really good, and this one is definitely amazing because it's so instructional. It's really, really clear, and I think we're going to learn quite a bit about the theme of piece activity. So as you guys all know, if you get your pieces active, that's generally going to be a good thing. This game also kind of has a theme of featuring like how to prevent the opponent from doing the same. So kind of hampering their development is going to be another theme within this one. This is played in 1981, and I think we're going to learn quite a bit along the way. And then also we have those fine and dandy Stillman puzzles, and we'll be doing that next right after this game. Okay, game starts out d4, c4, knight f6. We go like this, knight f3, and then pawn to b6, going into the Queen's Indian. And white plays a3 here. I thought for a long time, because I've been teaching this game for like 10 years, and I've gone over it probably a couple hundred times. I thought for a long time this was a really dubious sideline. It's actually, I think, like the second most popular move here. Let me double check if that's true. Yeah. It's literally the second most common move here is pawn a3. So this obscure-looking move, it actually makes a lot of sense. It's very theoretical because the bishop's main square to travel to was going to be this b4 point. And so without that possibility, white is kind of beginning that theme of hampering their opponent's development plans. Bishop comes here to b7. We're going to bring the knight out. Knight comes in this way. Chomp, chomp, and then knight to d2. Black now has the choice to go back either to b7 or g6, and they choose wrong, actually, and go to the square g6. Okay, so what do you think would be wrong about g6? Why would that be a mistake? Saves the bishop. Not a terrible move, but strategically, it's a tiny inaccuracy, and these things are going to add up. Hard to develop black bishop because of a3 already. Well, let me clarify my question. Okay, so black was posed with this attack right here and had to choose, do I retreat my bishop this way or this way? They chose wrong and went to g6. Why was this actually wrong? What's the problem with this choice? Yes, the h1 to a8 diagonal is weak. Very good, very good. So we're going to take advantage of that immediately. Looks like a lot of you guys basically got that right answer. You said it in different ways, but you are right. So we're going to right here, pawn to g3, and now take over this long diagonal right here. And so both the light square bishop, its longest diagonal is going to be exactly right here, and then the dark square bishop, its longest diagonal is right here. And Kasparov's going to get both of his bishops to those diagonals and conquer the center and the squares around it. Knight comes right here. All right, if you're up for a challenge, give this one a go. Do you want to go pawn e3 or bishop g2? One of these moves is good, and one of them is a big blunder. We got to deal with this threat. If we go here, we create this pin. If you go here, you develop, you delay development of the bishop, but you defend it directly. A lot of you folks are saying e3. Very, very good. The answer is indeed e3. So check this out. If, in fact, we had gone this way to g2, this pin actually isn't as valuable as it seems. Knight would take here on c2. Bingo. Yep, nice c2 threat. Very, very good. Yep. So now if we were to take right here, and then let's say we take back this way. For one thing, just right off the bat, Black's already going to have some compensation for it because they got 4 points for the sacrifice in their rook. They got a pawn here and the bishop. So just strategically, big picture, that should already kind of raise alarm bells. But also we have this issue of knight to c2, and so tactically Black is actually going to be winning there all of a sudden. They could go here check. Let's say we bring the king over, supported by this bishop. So there was an upside to going this way. Queen comes here to a8, and then pow, pow. So we're in trouble. All right, well, Kasparov, one of the best players of all time. Of course, he's going to see that kind of stuff. He goes pawn here to e3. Pawn a6, pawn to b4, grabbing some space along the queen side here. Pawn b5, chop, chop. And then, another question for you guys. Should we, let me revise the question. Kasparov makes the move bishop b2, and he does not take the pawn on b5. So why? Why did he do that? Knight takes b4 is exactly right. So the issue is, if you take what seems like a free pawn here on b5, they're actually going to go knight takes or even like bishop takes due to this pin. So what we're doing then is going bishop to b2 and then defending the rook, both with the bishop as well as with the queen. And so in a weird way, this move actually threatens this square. It's kind of strange looking because you wouldn't expect this square to be connected to this one, but in fact they are, and so that's gonna do the trick. Okay, so now the knight comes here to a7, defending the pawn, but at the cost of sidelining the knight. Good question. Good question about a6. Yeah, that was a dubious move there. So knight to, for the sake of momentum, I'm just going to keep going, but good catch. Glad you asked about that. You're right. A6 earlier was a bit of a mistake. It's not controlling the center. It's not helping him castle his king, develop his pieces. Good eye. Yep. All right, so we're going to go here, knight to a7, and then now we're going to make this move. Well, wait a second. Looks like we need that pawn shield over here. What are we doing with this random h4 move? You would think for sure the move would be bishop to g2. What on earth is the point of this move? This one's still about like medium level difficulty. For those of you more advanced players, I haven't forgot about you. I will try to find a more advanced question for you in a second. Harass bishop, yep, getting there. But more specifically, what? You're about 80% of the way there. Yes, exactly. H5 is then going to be followed up again by g4, completely trapping the bishop. After right here and then here, bishop comes this way, only safe square, and then we go here. When there's nowhere for this bishop to go, where it's going to remain safe, and so we're actually threatening to trap the bishop. All right, so they're going to go here, h6, providing some space for the bishop to retreat to, and now we go d5, opening up the diagonal right here. And so this is actually worth a pawn. He's gonna take back this way, and then we go bishop to g2, and so he made a positional sacrifice. There's no immediate tactical way to win back that pawn. He just gave up a pawn, but it's completely worth it because we're conquering both of these long diagonals. Boom, boom, and what's really nifty about this is that we can just castle. We don't have to do anything really aggressive right away, since Black actually has this big problem to solve. They can't actually castle their king. If they were to go here, then we would just take on g7, and their pawn shield is destroyed, and they legally just can't even castle their king here. Cool, cool. Well, after this, now the opponent sees what's going on, and he goes, all right, well, that's not so great, but let me see if I can unravel here. Because he has hope in the endgame. He's up one pawn, and so if he can survive White's dynamic advantage, he may actually turn things in his favor by the end of the game. Pawn to f6, and we're not going to play anything radical, nothing crazy. We're just going to bring in our stuff. Rook to e1, lining up this potential pawn break for later. Bishop comes here to e7, and now we do need to act. We can't play another kind of slower developing move. We need something a little bit more active. We're going to go here with queen to g4. King comes up this way to defend f7, and then also helps to guard g7 in the event that's going to be attacked later. And so now what do we do? Everything's coming together. It's all looking good. How do you proceed from here? How do you actually make use of this really nifty dynamic advantage we built up? One vote for pawn e4. One vote for h5. The correct answer here is going to be pawn to h5. So we do want to go e4 in a second, but timing is key. We don't want to do this just yet. So we're going to go right here, kick away the bishop, and then now here. So what we're trying to do, well, I won't tell you just yet because I'm going to ask you another question. After takes, which way do you take back with? Obviously not the queen or the rook because then you lose material, but do you take with the knight or the bishop? And bonus points if you can provide a more detailed strategy for why you want to take with one or the other. And I'll tell you that both moves are at least decent. Bingo. Yep. Puya. Yep. Exactly right. You take with the bishop so you can go to g6. Nailed it. So, yeah, what we're doing here is undermining the defense of this g6 square. Because if we can get the queen to g6, that's going to be really, good news for us, right? Well, only thing stopping us is this this bishop right here. I've taught this game plenty of times this week, and one of the rationales I heard for the knight was to maintain the advantage of like the two bishops. And it's true, when you go right here, you're not going to have the two bishops or whatever, but, in chess you want to be good at balancing and weighing these different value adds. A lot of times you can't have it both ways. Well, you got to figure out what it is that you do want. In this case, we want g6. So we're going to go here and here, and then have the queen come into g6. And this game is really just amazing. I mean, he doesn't have this super aggressive, ultra quick tone to it. He just develops another piece here. He just goes rook a to d1, bringing in that last sleeping piece. And niftily, as if that's a word, nifty enough, we're also attacking here on d7. Queen's hitting this point, so rook comes to a7. Black's putting up a fight. They're saying, okay, well, all right, I'm still up a pawn, so maybe I can hold my ground right here. All right, this is the toughest move to come up with. So if you're up for a challenge, give this one a go. What do you think we should do in this position? This is the hardest one to get right of the entire lesson so far. I'd be pretty impressed if you can get it. Take about 60 seconds or so. All right. And the answer is going to be knight takes f6 here. Kapow. Looks like Puya was right about this one again. So, when you have a big lead in development like this, it's not necessarily easy to figure out like what you do with it, and this is definitely a super skillful looking move. Kind of throwing the knight into the volcano. I work with kids a bunch, and so I've been telling them this, that basically it's like a hot square, right? It's sort of like throwing the knight into a volcano. Right, and that's kind of how we can think about it, is that there are three different things guarding this square. So at first glance, it does seem pretty odd. But yeah, we're going to go queen to g6 later, and this is going to kind of make it all make sense here. If they take with the bishop, then let's see if I can remember what it is without looking at the book. So it's, you go like this here check, the e file is opened up, so then it's like this, and then what's it going to be? So if we do this right away, they can take, what was the rationale? So if we go like this, oh, I remember what it is. If we go there and then this, now what's the follow-up? Rook e8 would not be mate, because they would just take it. Queen f6 would drop the queen. Rook e6 is the answer, yep. You go here making use of this pin, and now you can take here on f6, and then it's going to be lights out. This game is not finished. It is quite miraculous. I also want to get to those positional puzzles, so I'm going to kind of quicken the pace here so we can get to those. So sorry if I go too fast here, but I do want to make time for that. So yeah, knight to f6 is the move. They're going to take back this way, and now h6 is weakened. Weakened here a little bit. So we go queen to g6, and then we're attacking this point and the king, and now we play this world-class level move here, bringing the bishop back to c1. Nifty little maneuver, and hitting this square. Okay, pawn to d4. You would think he would just take right away. He doesn't do that. Instead, he goes rook here to d4, doing this nice little rook lift. Sure, if he goes right here, he wins the exchange, but then this king kind of gets away. And sure, we can maybe push the h pawn later, but it's not what you would consider the best technique. You want to try to win the game in the most surefire way, essentially. So that's what he's trying to do here. Rook to d4, and he's going to swing on over this way and go to g7. Knight comes here. We bring in the rook. Knight's going to come this way and protect h6. Okie dokie. Well, too little, too late. We're still going to be crashing through, and then the king hops over here. If the knight were to take now, we go here check, king comes over, kapow, we win the rook. If instead the rook were to take, we go kapow this way, and it's checkmate on g8. Well, after right here, king comes over, bishop to g7, black resigns. Game over. Wait a second, we're not going to checkmate the king. We're threatening the rook, okay, but the rook can just come over here or maybe this way. Why did he give up? This is the end of the game. Game over. Yeah, it's the h-pawn. The h-pawn's going to be coming in. Pretty obscure, very rare stuff. You don't normally have, the h-pawn or any pawn necessarily, have such a serious chance of getting promoted right here. After a move like this, rook to g8, you might be able to win the rook like this here. But the other thing happening is you're just gonna be able to promote this pawn. Whoa! All right, that's gonna do it for this game. Before I move on, and I've got some Silman puzzles for us to look at, some strategy stuff, some planning stuff. It's really been a big hit in this class. That's why I sped through this so we could get to it. Are there more questions before we move on about this fine and dandy Kasparov game? Did you guys like it? Are you wowed? Are you perplexed? What'd you think of this one? It's about peace activity. Awesome. Good to hear it. Good to hear it. Very, very cool. It's definitely one of my favorites to teach. Awesome. Yep. Cool, cool. All right, let me see here. So if I go like this, I stop the share on this, and then we go over here, and then I go like this. Sorry, it's throwing me off my rhythm because I don't normally have to share the screen this way, but I'm making do. So Silman, workbook puzzles, here. Cool. All right, not too much of a hiccup there. So then we'll go like this here. Sorry, I've taught this class many times, but this is the first time I've ever had a teacher where I can't just share the whole screen. I don't know what's happening there. Make and do. Thanks for your patience and everything. Okay, I've loaded up some new puzzles in here. I think you guys are gonna like this. Make sure you also get signed up for that tournament. Gonna send you guys a link to that again. Where did that one go? Over here. We only have 3 signed up for it. Oh my goodness, we gotta get some more than that. I'm gonna post the link in here again. And then we'll do this over here. All right, let's check it out. So this is from Silman's Reassess Your Chess workbook. Some great puzzles in here that aren't about tactics, but rather positional strategy stuff. This is now my 3rd time doing this topic. I think you guys are really going to get a kick out of it. I really enjoy kind of hearing all you guys' different answers, and there's really a colorful variety of different ideas that people have, and I think it makes for some great discussion time. So this is problem number 15 right here, and the game gets underway like this. We see the Sicilian, pow pow, this way, and after knight to f6, knight c3, d6, bishop e2, he asks, is the move e5 a reasonable move for black? Whether it is or it isn't, what are its ramifications? Question again is, e5, good, bad, in the middle? What do we think of it? Take your time. Let's see what you guys can do. I'll be right back. Give me 1 minute. Good answer there by Andre. Yep, it weakens the d6 pawn, but it is a legitimate variation. Yeah, this is a move that does get played here, in fact. Yeah, if you do knight takes c6, then you have a queenside minority for black. Yeah, kind of. I mean, if takes here, then pawn takes back, and then black's going to have the chance to go pawn d5 and build like a big center there. Let's see what Jeremy Silman has to say about this. He says, this move has become a common answer to bishop e2 and is known as the Bolevsky variation. Though moves such as e5 have to be played with great care due to the subsequent weaknesses of the d5 square, and in the present case, it's acceptable to allow the creation of this hole on this spot right here. Of course, black will have to make sure he retains the pieces that can guard it. Thus, after knight to f3, black should play the move pawn to h6, exclam, stopping the bishop from coming into to g5, followed by takes right here, when then white can leverage this d5 square later. So after here, castles, bishop to e7, rook to e1, and then we're going to see castles here, pawn h3, pawn a6, bishop to f1, and then b5, when black has some active pieces with chances for both sides. So that's gonna pretty much do it for this one here. The correct answer was pretty much what Andre said. Just it's a reasonable variation. It's gonna weaken d6, and then additionally, it was good to kind of note the importance of that d5 square. Okay, this one's pretty good. Probably not my favorite puzzle so far, but let's see what we got for the next one. Problem number 16. All right, so this common type of position and the plans that come out of it was first brought to attention, in world attention, with the game Botvinnik versus Capablanca in 1938, in which White won brilliantly. Though this position isn't quite the same as the other game, the ideas are identical and have been used in many different aspects. See if you can spot White's most effective plan and Black's best counter to it. Again, the question is, what should White be doing, and how should Black counteract that? Okay, this one I like a lot more, and I would say you got to be pretty skilled to figure it out. Let's see what you can do. So no one has the right answer just yet. As a baseline, you can kind of think of this like for White's position, you can maybe just develop the rook or something, or like bring in this guy, or maybe go here. That's sort of like a baseline type of a plan. But that's really not going to do a whole lot, you know. So it's a good question to pose. Like, what should White be doing here? Whoa, that's pretty aggressive. Interesting, but not quite right. Keep on looking. No one's got it yet. Here to support e4. The correct answer in this case, so Johnny is pretty close to it. We're actually going to be going f3. This is the move here. So he says, so Jeremy says, white has the two bishops and a central majority of pawns. If he wants to make use of both these factors, he should play the move pawn to f3, taking the e4 and g4 squares away from the black knight, and then getting ready for that pawn to e4 expansion. In reply to this, well, let's see, and then to elaborate further, he's also then going to have the chance to go queen to e1, and then maybe go to f2. That's kind of a strange spot. I would think it'd go to h4. That's interesting. But then go here and then rook over. So kind of control the center and like shift things over to the king side. So in this case, some of you were pretty close, but no one got the right answer. The right answer was pawn to f3. And then the other half of the answer is what black should be doing about it. Well, black should be actually counterattacking that center by going here and then kind of helping to control this spot and then moving the queen up somewhere and then going right here. So white's going to occupy the center and then black's going to attack it from the side. Again, we're talking about positional middle game strategies. Kind of a tough subject to understand. That's why we're getting into it. Pretty interesting stuff. I mean, it goes beyond just, developing your pieces. Like white's already done that. They're developing their pieces. What do you do next? Well, you try controlling the center and shift things over to the king side. This next puzzle, I like it even better. So let's do this one right here. All right. White has played this move, and we're going to go like this, and we see the king's Indian. And so we go here, bishop comes this way, bishop g4, bishop to e3, and then after the move knight b to d7, oh my goodness, look at all those arrows. Which of those moves do you think white should choose? This has got to be my favorite of the three so far. Plenty of time, and plenty more puzzles too. I'm not going to run out of these puzzles before the tournament starts. And if you guys would like, we could even hold off the tournament and just do more puzzles. I'm prepared to do it for the remainder of the hour. I want to know what you guys want to do. I want to maximize how much value you guys get out of this hour. So I got plenty more puzzles. We could do this. I only have 4 signups for the tournament. So we'll see. What's the question here? Does it have to be one of those? Great question. Yes, it does. It has to be one of those moves. Take your time. Let's see what we can do. Which one of those moves is the best? Or how he phrases it is, his phrase in here is, which of the following moves appear to be most threatening to the second player? Okay, kind of a fancy way of saying it. Which move do you think is best? Not in the list. Not the best move either. Take about 30 seconds. And of course, bonus points if you can say the move and suggest the supporting plan for it. I would probably play queen b3, so that's probably not it. Funny. All right, so knight g1 is the move here, and that's the answer. All right, this is what he says. White has several good moves in this position. Queen to and knight d2 is probably close. Actually, why is knight d2 not as good as knight g1? That's interesting. My gut tells me this is better, but now I don't know why, because this looks like the same idea, so interesting. Okay, white has several good moves in this position. Queen to d2, mentioned earlier. Castles. Here, castles, rook c1, and even the ugly pawn to h4 are all common moves here. but only one of the listed choices confronts black with any real problems. To make a proper decision, you have to first understand black's idea behind the moves bishop to g4 and knight f to d7. He actually has two ideas in mind, both centered around the d4 square. Black may play pawn to c5, hitting d4, when then pawn to d5 can be met by bishop takes c3. Black also intends to play the move knight to c6, further piling on to this square right here and knocking out this f3 defender. So clearly, anything white does should address these two plans of black's. Yada yada, etc. and so forth. Knight to g1 is the only one of the listed moves that actually makes sense. Though it looks a bit odd, a serious study of its virtues will quickly convince the student that it has smacks of logic. The first point is that it's going to trade away these guys, yada yada. I think I get it. I think you guys get it. My question is, why does knight d2 not work quite as well? Hold on. Now I'm curious here. Well, you don't defend this square quite as much, but it's not immediately threatened. What do you guys think? Blocks the d file. Feels better on e2 than d4. Maybe it's because you want to recap. Oh, you know what it is? You want to recapture with the knight on e2. That's why. That's why, because then you guard d4. Cool. All right, well, I want to kind of curtail discussion it too much. Now that we know the answer, I just want to give you guys another chance and just throw another puzzle at you. Blocking the d file, queen d2. Yeah, okay, good. Also kind of leaving the d2 square for the queen. Nice. That one's got to be my favorite. What do you guys think? Was that one satisfying? Was that interesting? Because like he points out, there's a lot of different moves there. Yeah, good stuff. All right, neato. All right, this tournament here, we've only got 4 sign up for it. So, I like to adjust based on what you guys are interested in. I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and cancel it. And then we got plenty more puzzles to go over. I got 13 more minutes here, so plenty of time. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this guy, and we'll just keep on doing puzzles. Okay. Next one up here. Problem number 18. So if you had to choose between the moves bishop to e3, bishop d2, or knight a4, which one would you play? Oh, okay, yeah. Next month we'll do the tournament for sure, yeah. Take your time. Let's see what you guys can come up with. Which of those moves do you think is the best? Oh, hold up, my mistake. There's a pawn, this guy's already here. So just bear with me, imagine it's here. Uh, 20 more seconds. The answer in this case is going to be bishop to e3. Okay, so let's see what it says. The answer should be very clear. Bishop to d2 develops the bishop, but why would you want it to be on such a passive square? Don't develop just for the sake of development. Even worse is knight to a4 when after bishop here to a7. See, that's why it's key the pawn is forward, because otherwise I would say probably knight a4 is the best. But after knight a4, then they can go back here to a7, and then the knight is just sort of awkward here, and then it's going to be forked in a second by the b5 pawn as well. So correct is the move bishop to e3, since if takes right here, then we actually take back this way here, and although we typically think of doubled pawns as bad, here it's actually pretty good. I mean, we're helping to control the center, and also the f file is opened up. And he says if he was playing black, he would probably just allow for this guy to be taken right here, and then you control the center a bit more, and you're getting your guys out. Probably not bishop e6, because then if you take, you have a double isolated pawns here. Let's see here. He says, if I was black, I would avoid this capture. Indeed, I'd let white take on c5, since after dx c5, have a half open a d file here. Is black there? Probably just retreat back to b6. That'd probably be the best. You actually don't want to do this. This is a favorable position for white. And I like this position because this is a really common one for beginners. So if you're pretty new to chess, this one should look familiar to you. It's copycat chess. So good way to think about it. It's going to probably come up in one of your games. Where to put this bishop? Well, e3 is going to be the way to go. Knight d4. Is knight d4 possible here? Yeah, I mean, that's possible. That looks a little bit wrong. Let's see here. So if you go knight d4, I could double the pawns and then maybe go here. So like here, well, not there, because you lose a piece, right? You get forked this way. So maybe go this way, takes, and then take back with the pawn, and then right here. Then the bishop's kind of shut out, and then I'm going to have this open like space for my pawn to go here and kind of take over the king side. I think it's possible. You just don't want to move the same piece twice out of the opening usually. I don't think it's tactically flawed, just strategically flawed. Probably want to bring in the bishop. Probably retreat here and then go rook and then here, I would say, is probably the proper way for black to go there. All right, quick question for you then. Problem number 19 is just a true or false question. No position on the board here. In the Silman thinking system, the idea of the opening is to develop your pieces as quickly as possible. True or false? In the Silman thinking system, the idea of the opening is to develop your pieces as quickly as possible. It's false. That's right. It's been said that no development is better than bad. No development is better than bad development. That's a confusing statement. That's a lot of words. Basically, you want to develop your pieces and create some sort of imbalance, and then have your pieces highlight that imbalance, and you kind of harp on that difference. And I pulled that directly from him. He just says it differently in this paragraph. But again, the idea is you bring out your guys, and then you create some sort of imbalance and have your pieces highlight that imbalance. Okay, let's look at another example here. Problem number 20. Let's see what we got. So this one right here, another one straight out of the opening. We go here, we see a Nimzo Indian, just like that Kasparov game we took a look at earlier, actually. And then here, and then like this. And we're going to go see this a move, and then pawn to e5. What is black's strategic justification for playing this way? But, like I keep saying, I love teaching chess, and I'm really trying to go above and beyond here and do something a little different. These aren't tactics puzzles. These are positional puzzles here. Again, the question is, what is his strategic justification for playing this way? What is black up to? Close the center, okay. Good answers, yep. Great answers. That's gonna pretty much do it, yeah. So if you remember back a second ago here too, he actually gave up the bishop for a knight. right? So just like I was saying a second ago, it's not that you just mindlessly bring in your pieces and castles, although I mean probably castles is probably fine here, but he's going to go this way and give up a bishop for a knight, and then exactly like someone said here, just you make it a closed position, and then you make it so your knights are then better than the bishops. That's all he's doing. He goes right here. Additionally, this pawn cannot come up this way, which would activate the bishop here. And also, like what was said, if pawn goes to d5, knight comes back to e7. Black's perfectly happy with that and has prospects of playing pawn f5. And indeed, the knights are going to be better than bishops in that type of closed position. You guys did awesome with that one. Problem number 21. Let's see what we got. Pawn d4, f5. We go like this. We're seeing a bit of a Dutch stonewall, looks like. Here, there, pawn c5. How should white handle this position? Let's see what you guys can do. King sacrifice? No sacrificing your king. It's not allowed. We got another vote for knight b5. You guys can't be sacrificing your kings. I won't allow it. a3. We have, let's see what else is said. Take the pawn on c5. Exchange the bishop. One vote for castle. All right, here's what he says. White has a lead in development and control over the e5 square. The action is too sharp for white to make effective use of e5 right away. That's an odd way of putting it. I would just say like, too sharp has a different context. Like, yeah, so we have good control over this e5 square. There's nothing we can do with that immediately. That's the way I would think about this. And so he says white would like to castle here, but if we do that, then they go c4. So a sample line could be like this: c4, bishop comes back, takes, knight to e4, and then the c3 pawn is looking very weak. So why let an opponent close up the position if you have a lead in development? With this in mind, white plays the move dx c5. All right, so I like that way of putting it, yeah. He has a lead in development. That's one of the most important strategic features of white's position right here. And so he opened the board. So simple as that. You got a lead in development, you keep the board open, and vice versa. All right, so he's going to go this way right over here. And then we see knight come this way to d7. Let me comment on the other answers given, though. What else was said here? So bishop b5. So I would say no to this one. The bishop's already been moved to a pretty decent square. And also if the bishop comes up like this, then you're going to be trading a good bishop for a bad bishop. So we don't want to do that one so much. A3. Unfortunately, A3 would kind of just fall right into black's plans after like takes, and then right here. It'd be pretty much the same thing we saw a second ago, but we're not castled. And so that's going to be important to stop that plan and black getting this vice grip over c4. And we're going to open the board up. So after right here, let's see here. It was like this, and then here. I got time for one more, and then I got to run. So there, and then castles. and then the game becomes very sharp. Here takes. Holy moly, we got tripled pawns. Okay, not for long. Takes here, knight to d4, queen e7, bishop e5, knight g4. Bishop comes back this way to g3. Oh my goodness, what's happening? Pawn c4, opening up the board a little bit more. It looks like takes. We're going to fix our pawns. Pawn e5, knight to f3. Whew! He says a hard-fought draw was eventually the result. So these puzzles don't have the decisive nature that a tactics puzzle does, but it's interesting stuff. Hope you guys are digging it. It's definitely fun to teach these ones. Last problem of the day. All right, we have pawn e4, and then we go like this. We see the Roy Lopez, and then after right here, we go like this, castles, and then here, this. Oh, I like this question. So now, after pawn c3, black usually castles when white then plays up. Okay, stick with me because it's a bit confusing. It's a good question though. So white goes c3, and then now black goes here, and then we go h3. Stick with me. So here to stop this move. Okay, so then question, why does black not then just play bishop g4 when they have the chance? Why does he give white the chance to go h3? Last question of the night. Let's see what you guys can do. Yeah, this is probably the hardest one to get. This is the hardest one to get because it's not even a move. You kind of have to explain the strategy aspect of it. Yeah, can't go to this. This doesn't work here to go to f7. So this little sacrifice like this. So then takes, and then if you go right here, check. He can just go there, and you got this guy protected. This ain't no stinking tactics puzzle. This is a positional puzzle, and probably the hardest one of the night so far. All right, but points if you can at least get the first move. I do got to run here. I got another lesson at 6. So I'm going to curtail discussion because, Andre, you have nailed it. Yes, we're going to go pawn to d3. But now, wait a second. You haven't provided the full explanation. Okay, so let me give it to you here. Essentially, it kind of is like that last one where the bishop and knight aspect is an important factor. So white usually wants to open up the center. And so after right, if they castle, and then we played h3, we're going to do d4. Well, if the dynamic has shifted to where this trade may occur, then we don't open up the board. And if you have bishops, you want open positions, and vice versa. So what white does here is nothing spectacular, quite the opposite. He just kind of develops in a rather sort of ho-hum sort of a way. He does go right here, and then after castles, knight comes in this way, knight a5. Nothing sparkling about it. We're just not going to open up the center. And then after here, knight to f1, queen c7, knight g3 actually, although e3, like you said, is probably also a decent consideration. And then knight c6, and then h3. And we just say, okay, well, you want to do this trade? I'm going to keep the game closed. So that is how you get a small advantage. So pretty advanced strategy stuff. What'd you guys think? You like it? You enjoying it? Intellectually stimulating? I think I stumped you guys quite a few times. Very good, very good. I can switch. We can do attacking chess. We can do some spectacular gems, shining examples. But I hope you guys like these positional puzzles. Glad to hear.